Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, we are going to learn how to create some image tags dynamically in JavaScript. We will show these images on our web page, and when you click on an image or a card, the image that you click on will be shown, and we will hide all the other images. So this is the logic that you might have seen in memory game, where you have different cards and you get score when you match them correctly. So here on the left side I have opened JS for Beginners directory in VS Code, and on the right side I have run the index.html file where we will see the result. So I have a folder inside that which is holding different images that are of PNG types, and I have an index.html file, and right now the index.html file is completely empty. We will code everything from scratch here. So type HTML head and style, because we will do some styling on the cards and the container, and after the head we will put the body tag, and inside the body tag the only visual element that we will have will be a div, and that will be responsible for holding all the images or the cards. So you can type container. This will be the only div that we will declare explicitly in our HTML document. After this we will use the script tag, and inside this script tag we will code our JavaScript. Before we code our JavaScript, let us do some styling for the container and for the card. So here we will select the container. We will set the height of the container to be 100 VH. 100 VH means that it will stretch its height to the available height of the window, whatever that is, and then we will set its display property to flex. Then we will set the justify content center. Justify content center will center the elements horizontally in the container, and we will also want to vertically center the elements inside this container, and for that we will set the align items property to have the value center to, and after that we will set the flex wrap to wrap. If you don't have enough space for the children of the container to come on the same line, then the flex wrap property will wrap the elements on the next line, and then we will set the gap of 30 px. This will set the gap between the items inside this container. So styling for the container is done. Now we will do some styling for the card. We'll select the card. Right now we don't have any value card for any class. We will do that dynamically in JavaScript. So for the card we will set the border radius, and we will set it to 30 px. Then we will set the background color. This is the background color of our PNG images that we will use in our program, so that is why we are using it. And then we will set the height to 300 px. After the height we will set the width property to be fit content. Now we will also set the display property of the curve to be flex, because we are going to center the content inside the card, and we will set the justify content center and align items center to, and after that we will give it some padding from all sides of 10 px. Then we will set the box shadow for the card. Shadow will make it look like a real card, and we'll set the box shadow to 1 px on x-axis, 1 px on the y, and 5 px for the blur, and 0 for the spread, and then we will set the color of the box shadow to be black. Now the styling for the card is also done. Here we will create a class opacity 0, and opacity 0 will be responsible for hiding the images, and here we will set the opacity to be 0. So something that has a class opacity 0 will be hidden, so we will use this for hiding the images when we run our program. Then we will have two other classes, show and hide. Show will be responsible for showing the image that you click on, and the hide class will be responsible for setting the opacity of the images and make them disappear. Inside the show and hide selectors, we will set the animation rules because we would want our images to have some sort of animations while they show or hide. So here we will set the animation rule. We will set one animation for show and one for hiding the images, and for the show we will name our animation show anim, and then we will set the duration to 0.5 seconds, and it will be linear, and it will be once. We will change the show to hide, and that will also be the same, but here we have a different type of animation, and that will be responsible for hiding the images. Now it's time to create those two animations for the show and hide. You can use a keyframes. Inside the body of the show anim, we will use the from and true properties. Here we will set the opacity from 0 to opacity 1, and the same will be for the hide animation, but there will be opposite to this. We will set the opacity from 1 to 0. We just need to copy this and we will paste it here, and here we will name it hide anim, and we will change the values from 1 to 0. I think we are done with the styling. Now it's time to code in JavaScript. We will come to the script tag, and inside the script tag, first of all we will get a reference to the container that will be responsible for holding the cards, and we can do that by creating a variable container, and we can use document.query selector for that, and here we will provide the selector, which is a class, and its value is container. Let me also collapse this so that we may focus on the code only. Now we have a reference to the container div, and then we will append all the other dynamically created elements to this container. Here we will create an array that will hold the names of the images that we will use in our program. Let me show you. Inside the images folder we have 3 images, roll, samosa and shami. We will use these images in our program, and we will save their names in our array. So let us create an array here. We can name it foods, roll, the other one was samosa, and one was shami, I think. Yes, that is shami. So we have 3 images, and we have saved the names of those images in our array, and we called our array foods. Now we will create another array that will hold our images tags, so that we may keep track of those images. And for now that will be empty. We will dynamically push image tags inside this array. Let us also create a variable for previous image. This will be responsible for holding the previous image. For now this will be undefined because we are going to dynamically assign value to this in our program. Now it's time to loop over this array and dynamically create different elements and append them to the document. So we will use for loop, and we will name our index variable I, and we are going to loop over the foods array. Inside the for loop we will create elements dynamically. We will create a div. The div will be a card, and then we will create an image tag We will append the image to the card, and at the end we will append the card to the container. So let us first create a card. Const my card document.create element, and we are going to create a div. We will create an image too. Const my image. So far we created a div and an image tag. We will add a card class to my card. So my card dot class list dot add card. Now we will set the source attribute of my image to have a dynamic value. So we will use those images that we have in that folder. So we can say my image.c equal, and here we will dynamically create the source URL of the images. So it is inside the images folder. Then we will use the forward slash, then we will concatenate it with the element on this specific index inside the foods array, and that is foods of I. Then we will just concatenate the .png, which are the extensions of those images. When we run our program, we want our image tag to be hidden by default. So we will add the opacity 0 class to our image tag. So we will write my image dot class is dot add. If you remember, we used opacity 0 class for setting the opacity to 0 above in our CSS. Now the image will be hidden by default. Now we will append our image to our card, and then we will append our card to our container. So let us first append our image to our card. My image. Let us also push the image tag to my images array, so that we may keep track of all the image tags for hiding them later in our program. So what we can do, my images dot push, we will push my image tag that we are creating dynamically, and at the end we will append our card to our container. Container dot append child. Now if you save our HTML document, you will see 3 cards on your web page, and if you click on one of these cards, nothing will happen, because right now we didn't register any click event on any of these cards, and we are doing that right now. Now we'll register a click event on our card, and we can do that by calling my card dot add event listener. The name of the event is click, so you will pass click here as a string, and then you will pass the callback function, which will be an anonymous function. Inside the body of the callback function, we will get reference to the closest div of the event target, and we will do that by creating a variable parent div, and we will assign event dot target dot closest, and here we will pass the div. Now with this, if you click out of the image inside the card, you will get reference to the div, which is a card, and if you click on the image, you will also get reference to the div, which is also a card. So with this parent div, we will call a query selector method, and through that we will find the image inside that card, and then we will add a show class to that image. So the image inside that card will be shown. So let us do it now. Parent div dot query selector. We will select the image tag inside that card, and then we will take its class list, and we will add a new class to this, which will be show. Now with this, if you click on any of these cards, you will see the image, but that will disappear after the animation is complete, because we added the opacity 0 class to that already. So we will need to remove that, but before that let us click on one. You see the image. Now here we will remove two classes from the image tag, and we can do that by calling my image class list remove method. And here to the remove method we will pass two arguments, which are the class names that we want to remove. The first one is opacity 0, and the other one is hide. Right now there is no hide class on that because we didn't add that. So far, if you click on any of these cards, you will see the image, and the image won't disappear anymore. But the other images are not disappearing, and we don't want it to be like this. We want the other images to be hidden, and here we will add some more code for this. Now first of all, we will add this image, which is my image tag. We will add it to the previous image. Previous image is equal to my image. Now inside the previous image we will have this image, and here we will check if the previous image is defined. We will remove the show class from the previous image if that is defined. Previous class list remove. The class is show, and now we will add the opacity 0 and hide class again to the previous image, and with that the image will disappear with animation. Previous image class list add. Here we will add two classes, opacity 0, and the other one is hide. So far I think our program is complete, and we can test it. If you click on a card, you will see the image, and if you click on another card, you will see the image on that card, and the previous image will disappear. So it is working as expected. We could have done this with less code than we did, but I just wanted you to learn more than you were supposed to. That is why we used my images array. We used the closest method of the event.target. I just wanted you to play with these things. Now it's time to refactor the code. We will remove my images array. We don't need this statement. We also don't need this statement. And here, instead of selecting my image tag through the query selector method of the parent div, we can directly use my image tag. Now if you save this, it should work exactly as before, and it's working as expected. So that's it for today. We will see you in the next lecture, but before we go, you should remember that practice makes a man perfect. You should work on this in the background, and see you soon. Allah Hafiz.